Things happen in life where the people we know best surprise us. When a moment of, as the laughter dies down, someone we thought we understood tells us a truth that changes everything. Mark Consuelos, the charming actor, loving husband, and beloved co-host of the morning show we all know and love, broke down in tears and told his fans and his wife, Kelly Ripa, something that left them stunned. No one at all saw this coming. That is, not after decades of smiles and jokes with Kelly on TV and what looked like a perfect marriage that couldn't be broken. But behind that perfect front, there was a story that not many people could have imagined. A trip to find out who you are, full of fear and insecurity. Kelly's response when Mark finally told the truth said more than any interview could. Stay tuned, because as this story goes on, you'll see a side of Mark Consuelos and Kelly Ripa that not many people have seen. You might have a whole new view of love and even yourself by the end. A recent episode of Live with Kelly and Mark was the start of it all. The part was meant to be casual, like any other Tuesday morning, with some funny banter and maybe a story about their kids. Mark's tone changed that day though. His whole attitude changed. He didn't have the lovely smile that he always had on air. It was gone for a moment. He took a deep, heavy breath, the kind you would take before letting out a long-held secret. Then he said it. I have tried to show that I am enough for a long time. The people in the room were quiet. Kelly took a quick look at him and seemed to ask, "Where is this coming from?" With her eyes slightly wider. "You reach a point where success doesn't fill the void any longer," he said. "That smile you give the cameras doesn't change how you feel inside." It wasn't planned. It wasn't planned. Mark Consuelos, who usually doesn't show weakness, lowered his guard for the first time. Everyone in the room and watching from home could feel the raw emotion in his voice. The question is, what made him lose it? We need to go back in time to understand that moment. Mark Consuelos grew up in a family that worked hard. This was before Riverdale, before Live with Kelly and Mark, and before all the fame. His parents, who are from Mexico and Italy, taught him deep values like faith, hard work, and respect. Neither did he come from a famous family. He deserved every bit of it. It was clear right away that he was attracted to Kelly Ripa when he met her on the set of All My Children in the 1990s. They got married quickly and secretly in Las Vegas. Their love story seemed like it came straight from the soap show where they met. Still, even as their jobs took off, Mark felt a heavy burden inside him, a doubt that wouldn't go away. Mark kept asking himself, am I enough next to her? As Kelly's fame grew as she led talk shows, wrote best-selling books, and became one of America's most beloved TV personalities, it wasn't envy. It was something not so strong. Everyone fears not knowing if their hard work is appreciated, even by the person they love the most. People love fame, but it also has an unseen weight that weighs on you. When they left their New York home in the morning, they knew that cameras might be somewhere nearby. There had to be a camera ready for every smile and every move. In a past conversation, Mark said that he often felt like he was just a small part in someone else's movie. But as time went on, that feeling got stronger when Kelly was praised for being a great host, her beauty, and her wit. Mark thought that most people only saw him as Kelly Ripa's husband at times. He still loved her very much. Many couples can see how this makes sense. Loving someone deeply while dealing with your own worries in silence. He didn't tell anyone about it for years until that morning, when he just had to. Mark said those sensitive things on live TV, and Kelly didn't cut him off. She didn't shake her head or make a joke to get rid of it. She just paid attention. Everything was caught on camera. She had soft eyes, her lips pressed together, and her hands in her lap. At that point, her quiet was stronger than any words she could have used. A person who had seen the fight but may not have heard it put into words was deeply moved by the silence. Kelly leaned in and said softly, "You've always been enough. You already knew, so no one had to tell you." The studio exploded in cheers. But for people who had been following their story, it was more than just a touching TV moment. A big event in their marriage was shown live for everyone to see. Mark later talked about why he decided to be open in a behind-the-scenes segment. He said, "I didn't mean to say it. It came out of the blue, but I felt like I had to say it. Not just for myself, but maybe for anyone else who watches who feels the same way." Later, Kelly told People magazine that they had had a lot of deep talks, that the talks they had at home, away from the bright lights of the studio, were what made it possible for such an honest public moment. She told him that Mark's problem wasn't new, but that his choice to talk about it was a big step forward. He had been putting his feelings into his work for years, playing dark and moody characters on shows like Riverdale. In a way, it was his therapy. It gave him a place to put the thoughts he couldn't say. But acting could only do so much. The main problem wasn't about getting ahead at work. It was about how much you are worth. People who know the couple well say that the pressure hit its highest point around the time Kelly, Livewire, long-winded short stories, her best-selling autobiography, came out. The book was an enormous hit, getting great reviews and going straight to the top of the charts. Kelly was on a quick tour because she was famous not only as a show, but also as a great author and comedian. Mark was there the whole time, cheering her on from the front row. He was always her biggest fan. Despite that, reports say that time was very hard for him. He was very proud of himself. But every time someone stood up to applaud Kelly, that sneaky, quiet voice in his head got louder. Online trolls and careless stories that often portrayed him as Mr. Kelly Ripa, a good-looking part of her success, didn't help. One piece that was especially mean asked if he was happy living in her break. This story was poison that slowly killed a man who was raised with a strong work ethic and a strong desire to provide and protect, taking away his sense of who he was and making him question the worth of his many accomplishments. This is when Kelly really showed how long she had been with her partner. She could see how hard it was on him. She saw the small changes in his mood and how he would sometimes pull away after something big. She didn't bother or push. She began to change her own story instead. During interviews, she always made sure to talk about Mark's job, how good he was as an actor, and how important he was to their family as a whole. During the chaos of fame, she often called him the Rock and told everyone that he was the one who kept their lives stable. To fight back against the idea that she was reminding everyone, including Mark, of the man she fell in love with, she did it. He was more than just the husband of a famous woman. He was smart, driven, and a truly good guy. They made a huge move when they asked Mark to become a permanent co-host of Live after Ryan Sieg left. Many people thought it was a good fit, but behind the scenes, it was a choice that was full of risk and openness. Mark felt like he was going straight into the world where his wife was the queen. It meant facing those fears head-on every morning in front of millions of people. Would people let him in? Who would he be seen as? An equal? Or just a guy sitting next to his wife? People who knew Kelly said it was a leap of faith that she supported but never forced. They talked about how important his voice was, how his point of view was special, and how they had an innate connection that couldn't be faked. She had full faith in him, and that faith made him strong. Taking the seat next to her did not mean giving up on her world. It was a way for him to take his place in it. In many ways, the on-air statement was the end of that journey on his own terms. In a deeply emotional moment that has touched millions, Mark Consuelos' recent confession has left his wife, Kelly Ripa, utterly speechless. The emotional revelation occurred during an intimate conversation on their hit talk show, where Mark shared his deepest feelings, leading to an overwhelming moment of vulnerability that was both heart-wrenching and powerful. Mark, known for his typically strong and composed persona, surprised viewers and Kelly with his raw, emotional confession. He opened up about a life-altering realization, one that made him reflect on his priorities and the importance of family. His heartfelt words resonated deeply with Kelly, who was visibly moved by the sincerity and depth of his emotions. For a moment, the studio went quiet, and viewers were left in awe of the unspoken bond between the two. Kelly, usually the one to provide a comforting presence and guiding light, was at a loss for words. The confession struck her so deeply that she had to pause, collecting herself before responding. It was a rare and powerful moment where the usually cheerful and quick-witted Kelly was overwhelmed by the weight of Mark's words. Her response, though filled with love, also reflected her vulnerability, as she shared how his confession left her reeling, unsure of how to process such an emotional revelation. This candid moment has ignited a wave of support from fans, who have praised the couple for their openness and honesty. In a world where celebrity relationships are often scrutinized, Mark and Kelly's willingness to show their raw emotions has provided a glimpse into the true strength of their bond, proving that love, vulnerability, and understanding are the cornerstones of their marriage.